The more you see them, the more it sinks in, and it's interesting. And if we go to the book of Revelations, I want to look and put over here the book of life. And what is the book of life? I was in the meeting we had this morning talking about the movement of this rod turning into the serpent, which is occult language for the activation of this electrical energy called Kundalini. Kundalini is a Hindu word, and it's the female serpent, the female electrical energy which rises up the spine. Now, of course, that sounds very foreign to Christian people, people of the West, and it shouldn't be, say. And that's one of the things we have to establish. When we talk about meditating and the energy rising up the spine, and it goes through 7 chakras, which are 7 nerve centers, that is extremely foreign to a Western person and extremely foreign to a Christian-oriented person, but it should not be, because the Bibles that you have in your hands refer to that very energy as the book of life. And, you know, probably since most of you were in school or you've heard the preachers or teachers saying, is your name written in God's book of life? Well, basically what they were saying, not knowing it, is have you energized this strange electrical force within the body called Kundalini. Let's take a look at it, page 1005, Revelation chapter 5, and look what it says in reference to this book, and this is the book of life. It says, and I saw in the right hand. Now, the very first thing in the right hand is we're talking about the right hemisphere of the brain, so the word right is important. Of him that sat on the throne. The word throne is a Kabbalistic word which means the highest consciousness, the higher mind. Okay? So I saw in the right hand, the right hemisphere of the brain, of him who sat on the throne being the higher mind, a book, that's the book of life, written where? Within. Okay? That's within you. Written within and on the backside. Okay? Which is the spine, and sealed with how many seals? 7 seals. So there it is. There's the very strange Hindu element of energizing the spirit called Kundalini, described in the Christian Bible as the book of life. And this isn't even the Jewish Bible. Don't forget, this is the book of Revelation, which is totally a Christian document per se, although it's definitely an occult book. And it talks about the right side, the throne, written within on the back side, which is the spine sealed with 7 seals. There is not I'll tell you the truth, there's not a born-again Christian I've ever run into, I've ever heard, has the slightest idea what this is. And of course, if you talk about Kundalini, they'll say you shouldn't get involved in that occult stuff until you open the book and show them this, and then they'll just walk away and say, well, you know, you twist, you distort it, and then they'll walk away because they have nothing to say about it. The life force that flows through the spine, so this would be the spine, the life force that flows through the spine from the base of the spine is so important that it is called the book of life. And that's the first thing we have to understand. The second point about you and that which you've heard is something that you saw if you saw the concert last night, and we saw what I'm talking about to you folks on TV. We saw Kitaro in concert, and there was a fellow there, a Japanese fellow, in a yellow shirt, and he would make the sound, Om. That was the Om sound, okay? Om is the trumpet. Om is the trumpet. It's the energy that flows downward through you, out of the lips of God. And the breath becomes a sound that stimulates the serpent, all right? You see it in a way if you see the Hindu flute, although actually, in all honesty, the serpent does not come out of the basket in response to the sound of the flute because they don't hear. He's coming out and seeing the flute moving back and forth. But still, the symbol of it is that when the flute is on the lips of God, the serpent will rise. So that when Om starts to project this energy, then, you know, starts to move. Now, so we have 2 things. We have the sound Om, which is the trumpet sound, which is the sound that causes this tremendous change to come within. There's a wall that separates you from the holy place to the right side. In other words, if this is you and this is the carnal mind here, there is a wall here that separates you from the right hemisphere of the brain, which, you know, we would consider the holy place. Meditation then becomes a gradual process by which the activation of this Kundalini through Om causes this wall to dissipate and open up this right side to, the activity inside of yourself. So the whole aspect of life then is spirituality is actually electrical energy, which stimulates the brain. Okay? That's what it is. Entirely all of your religious experience, all of your experience in going to church has nothing to do with religion, has nothing to do with spirituality, nothing to do with really the Bible per se, and as far as holiness is concerned, it has to do with electrical energy. And when the electrical energy starts to move, it stimulates the brain and causes these things to happen. So in a way, there's a treatise on electrical energy within the body, which is actually the Book of Life. Okay, so that's what the whole aspect is. But we've kind of looked in the first few moments here about what is being talked about. Energy raising itself up from the base of the spine, going through your spine, impacts on a gland in the brain. That causes the right side to start to move, and energy in brain cells at the right side to start to become activated. This sound, Om, which places you at the center in harmony with nature, in harmony with the universe, then is said to cause the right side to become more active and to open up. It causes that separation to fall. Okay? That's what it's about. That's why they say Om, so that that separation between the left and the right side will fall, and that's why we meditate and allow this energy to come within us so that it hits the pineal gland and starts to throw open that right side. But now we go into the Bible, okay, and you start to look at mythology. This book that says Bible should really appropriately be called Holy Myth because it's mythology. It is not, it's hard to take for people because they don't understand. There was a tremendous series on television. Bill Moyers and Joseph Campbell did it called The Power of Myth. Myth is, we say, oh, that's a myth making, it's make-believe, it's not true. A myth is true, but the point is, the truth is other than what the storyline tells you about. A myth is an adventure written about people and places that really is speaking of a deep spiritual or a deep meaning that has to do with consciousness. So this is mythology. So when you pick up the Bible, this is mythology. People do not live inside of a fish. It's not possible. If a fish swallows you, you will die. There is no way you're going to live inside of the fish for 3 days, and then the fish pukes, and you come out and save everybody. It's not going to happen. But see, God, or whatever the universe is that teaches us this that way, thought that we had enough sense to realize that. Can you imagine some God somewhere saying, they believe that? What do I do? Jesus, what the heck are we going to do? They believe it. They believe the fish puked. They believe it. Well, you know what you ought to do? Give them a story about a guy taking 2 of every kind of animal in the world. They'll never believe that. So that's what he did. Took 2 of every kind of animal in a boat. Imagine, every kind of animal in the world, 2 of them on this boat. What did we do? Did we realize that it's talking about a haven of consciousness in the storms of the mind? No, we believed it. 2 giraffes, 2 fleas, 2 octopuses, 2 everything was in that boat. Everybody was going to the bathroom. And can you imagine it? Because there was no door in this boat. You couldn't even throw the stuff out. What are you going to do? He's up there for 4 months. I mean, it's very distressing. Certainly they said he had a negative attitude. What would you do? With elephants in your boat going to the bathroom and you can't even get rid of this. What are you doing with it? Moses, where the hell is Moses? Jeez, So this is the kind of stuff. And so you had a creative process in which these myths are giving to you to understand that they're so... And I mean, come on, Adam and Eve, 2 people running around don't have any clothes on. They don't know they don't have any clothes on. Did you ever go around without your clothes on, not knowing you had clothes on? But in this story, the best part of it is, who tells them they don't have any clothes on? A talking snake! Well, that sounds all right to me. That sounds reasonable. That's religious as heck. I believe every word of the Bible. Praise God. A talking snake said, hey, you better get your shorts on here, kid. Anybody said, what's that down here? Whoa, get your shorts on. And God says, who told you didn't have any pants on, Tommy? The snake told me, that's who. Oh, okay. See? And so this is the kind of stuff that we built. But you built your faith on this. You went to church and you never questioned that the talking snake said to the guy, you don't have any shorts on. You never questioned that the fish puked after the guy was in there for 3 days. And he come up and said, never questioned it. Had 2 of every kind of animal. The lady cut the guy's hair and he couldn't fight anymore. You never questioned anything about this. So it all sounds good to me. And you all went to church and you got up and you sang Amazing Grace and Praise God. And all of these fairy tales, myths were given to you and you took them literally. And they said every word is exactly like it says in the Bible. And you said yes. And you never questioned it. And then you wondered why it didn't work. And you wondered why, it didn't make any sense. So you come to the point here of realizing what the ancients were trying to say to you, that all of life occurs in its essence when you activate a part of the brain that is generally off limits. Actually, you can't activate it, but when you leave it open so that it can be activated by this electrical energy. So you get kind of a blueprint for the electrical energy inside of you and how it works. So how does the Bible describe this movement up the 6 chakras? See, you've got 6 chakras. Okay, I think you've kind of seen this, so let's put it over here. I'll put the Om, because that's the sound. You got 6 chakras, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You impact that 7th chakra, and then you start things happening. That's the energy. How does the Bible describe it? So let's look at a myth and say, well, if I'm going to open the Bible, how will it describe this? What are we trying to do? The name of the little talk we're doing tonight is called The City is Open, or Is the City Open? The city in mysticism, metaphysics, is the mind, consciousness, where the business is carried out, where the activity goes. Okay, so here's the city. This is the prize. This is the holy city. Okay, and look, it's blocked off to us. There's this wall around the city. We can't get into the city. But this is where the holy place is. This is the right hemisphere. See? Well, we can't get in there, so what are we going to do? Okay. Let's go to page 191 in your little Bibles there. And we'll look at a story that I think is quite familiar to all of you. And it's the story of Joshua. The story of Joshua. Okay? And it's on page 191. And what I want you to look at, first of all, is if you look at Joshua chapter 6, okay? And Joshua chapter 6, what does it say? It says, Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out, none went in. It's all, nothing touches it. No activity. This is the holy city. This describes the right hemisphere. Something has got to be done so that it can be opened up. Because 90% of you is contained in the right hemisphere. 10% of you, the intellect, is contained over here. That's yours. That 10% is yours. The 90%, which is the holy city, if you would, is shut off. You can't touch it. You can't get in. So the point is, well, what good is it then? The thing that's being said to you, there is a way that if you follow this way, the wall will come down and this will be opened to you. And all of the treasures that go with it will be open to you. They say, oh, the treasures, yes, brain cells, creativity, love, music, art, and all of these things which come out of the right hemisphere. But for you to be able to use these in your everyday experience requires understanding how it works. Okay. Jericho was shut up, so that means the right side is shut down. Now, the Lord directs Joshua. I want you to look at the word Joshua, or the name Joshua. That is the name of the person that you call Jesus, Joshua. Okay. One and the same. One and the same. And they'll both bring you into the holy city. All right? The Lord directs Joshua. There is a necessity, as we've understood, of getting this energy up the 6 chakras. We've got to meditate. The energy's got to flow up the spine through the 6 chakras, impact on the 7th chakra if we're going to open that city in the right hemisphere. Watch what it says. Joshua chapter 6, look at verse 3. And you shall compass, in other words, you shall go around the city, all you men of war, go around the city once, and you shall do that 6 days. 6 days. Why once? Don't add anything. Don't add anything of your own. Don't need your techniques. Don't need any of your hocus pocus. Just go around once. If you go around twice, you're going to screw it up. See? If you find somebody saying, oh yeah, but we do it this way, you're going to screw it up. You remember why Moses couldn't go into the holy city? Because God said, touch the rock. He touched it twice. He said, I didn't say touch it twice. I said touch the rock. In other words, he added something of his own just to make sure. See, that's religion, New Age gimmicks, all of this stuff. You add it of your own, you screw it all up. Go around once. How many? 6 days. That's the movement of the energy through the 6 chakras in the spine. Now, there's another interesting point here. This is the microcosm. The microcosm is what is inside of you. Inside of your body is the microcosm. Everything that is outside is the macrocosm, but that all has to be in sync with what's in here. In other words, what's going on inside of your body has to be going on in the universe at the same time, and it is. The six ages have gone past. The last age that gone past was the 6th age of Pisces. We are now at the 7th age. Do you see what I'm saying to you? You go around the city once 6 days. The zodiacal clock has moved around 6 ages. Now you've come to the 7th. That's why no matter what anybody thinks or what anybody tries to do in government, generals, presidents, kings, it won't work. Everything is going to be turned upside down as you're seeing it. And so what has happened is the universe has gone through the 6 times and reached Aquarius, which is 7 o'clock on the zodiacal clock. The same rhythm, exactly the same rhythm that I'm talking about, the 6 chakras on your spine, go around the city once 6 times, the 6 ages of the zodiac. Watch when we show you something. Go to page 865 and look at the book of John. There's interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Look at the book of John. Here is Jehoshua, the Christ. You know him affectionately as Jesus, which actually is a name out of Greek mythology. Do people get, do you know how I said that on television? And a guy called me up from Tom's River, said, I'm a blasphemer, I'm going to hell. Well, I just told the truth. Why should you go to hell for telling the truth? You should go to hell for telling them what they said, because it's not true. His name wasn't Jesus. That's a lie. You should go to hell. Go to hell. But you tell the truth, you're going to go to hell. Okay. Where was I? Okay, here we are. John chapter 2. Jesus is at the wedding. Joshua was at the wedding. How many water pots were there? John chapter 2, verse 6. How many water pots were they? 6. Say it. John chapter 2, verse 6. And there were set 6 water pots. Of what? Brick? No, of stone. 6 water pots. What was unique about the water pots? They were empty. Look at me. You know what that means? It means the 6 ages that have gone by. They're gone. They're used up. There's no more activity in them. Now something new has to be done. That which is empty must be filled with the truth of the water, and it will be turned into number 7, which is the wine. The 6 water pots empty, being changed into the water, go around once 6 times, 6 o'clock on the zodiacal clock turning to 7 is all the same thing. And where's your march? 6 shots up the spine to the 7th. Okay. So, let's go back to Jericho. Moving through those lower 6 chakras is circling the city. Now look, wait, come here, quick, what's happened now? We've gotten past the 6th ages. We've gotten past the age of Pisces, and we've reached the 7th age, the age of Aquarius. Moving up that 7th chakra, up that 6th chakra, as you impact on the pineal gland at the 7th chakra. Now I want you to go to page 191 as we get ready for the movement here and see what happens. Page 191, and if you look at the book of Joshua again, and I want you to look at Joshua chapter 6, and now go to verse 4, and what do you see? And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns, and the 7th day you shall compass the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow with the trumpet. Oh, that's literal. No, it's not literal. It's talking about the 7th. You know what the word 7th is in Hebrew? Sabbath. It means rest. It is the point of the pineal. It is the point of raising yourself up through those 6 chakras, which are the lower part, to the 7th where you find rest. It is the dawning of Aquarius. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Let the sun shine in. It is the time of rest. Did you see? Can you see anything? 7 priests before the ark, 7 trumpets of ram's horns. The 7th day you'll compass the city 7 times. So now what do we have? We have the priests representing the holiness within us. We have the trumpets, which are the breath belonging to Om. Huh? Now, the ram's horns are very, very important. Why a ram's horn? Why not a trumpet, or a saxophone or a trombone? Why a ram's horn? The horn means power. The ram is Aries. Aries is the pineal gland of the brain. The power of the 7th. You're going into winter. The sun is coming down. The ram's horn will sound in the spring, when the power is given back to Aries, and all of the world will bloom in new life again. Huh? Ram's horn. So, what do we have to do? Listen very carefully what I'm about to tell you, because inside of you is the sun. Inside of you is the solar plexus where all this energy happens. What are you going to do about the fact that it's going to get cold now? Are we doomed? Are we going to freeze into oblivion, into ice? What do we have to do about it? What do we have to do to bring the spring back? Nothing. Just wait. Be still. Be patient. And the leaves will come back to the trees. And the flowers will bloom again. You have to do nothing. If I can get this through to all the people who are scurrying around to collect all this so-called wisdom and say, please be still. That's all you have to do. Be still and the leaves will come back to the trees. That's the key to it. Why? How is this possible? Let me show you how it's possible. Go to page 17. Do you remember we covered not too long ago Abraham sacrificing Isaac? Huh? Genesis chapter 22 on page 17, and what does it say? Genesis chapter 22 on page 17 and verse 13. Abraham is looking for a sacrifice, and Abraham is looking around, and it says, the voice says, you don't have to kill the kid Isaac. And he says, why not? And Abraham lifted up his eyes in Genesis chapter 22 and verse 13, and behold, a ram caught by his horns in the thicket. God provides the ram. My friends, God has provided Aries in the zodiac to bring forth the spring, and God has provided the pineal gland in the center of your brain to bring forth the springtime of your life. There is nothing you have to bring with you. There is nothing you have to learn. There is nothing you have to do, but be still and allow the energy to move. Allow her to wake the sleeping serpent to rise. Allow that horn of Om to manifest itself within you, and the ram is provided, and that gland in the center of your brain will activate the right side. Jesus said, if your eye be single, your body will fill with light. That's Aries. That's the pineal or pineal gland of the brain. I call it pineal because of the fact of the ancient spelling like that. Maybe some of you are new. Maybe some of you haven't seen that. It's the pineal gland of the brain. It's a small cone-shaped gland in the center of your brain. And when everything is dark, it comes to life. When there is light outside, it closes down. When it is dark, it opens up. When you are in the darkness of your meditation, your pineal gland opens up. It secretes a hormone called melatonin, which they're still figuring out what it does, but besides that, we won't get into that. I wanted to show you that Jesus called, if your eye be single, your body will fill with light. Jacob practiced this, and look at page 28 in your Bible since you're so close to it. Genesis chapter 32, page 28, Genesis chapter 32, and verse 30. And Jacob was saved, seeing God face to face, and it said Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. So, we see the 7 priests. What do they represent? Spirit. We see the 7 trumpets. What do they represent? Om, the harmony, the decibels of the energy of the brain. We see the 7th day. What does it represent? Aquarius. The 7th day, the 7th age. And we see compassing the city 7 times, which are the 7 chakras. Now go back to page 191, when we had Joshua, and let's look at Joshua chapter 6 and verse 10. And this is what Joshua says, and this is your meditation. Now remember what you're doing. You're working your way into your meditation. You're sitting on the floor. You have your legs crossed if you can handle it. I'm starting to sit up here now because the concrete floor is not conducive to that. But otherwise, you're sitting in your meditation and you're waiting for the energy to start moving one step at a time, circling the city, moving one step at a time up the 6 chakras. And what does Joshua say? Joshua chapter 6, verse 10. You shall not shout, nor make any noise with your voice. Neither shall you say any word until I tell you to shout. Then you'll shout. But for now, be quiet. Shh, don't move. You're not in this fight. You just wait and wait and wait. And when it's time, you'll shout. And your shout will be, oh. Now, it's very important. There's another part of this drama that has to do with the construction of the temple. Now remember that God lives in a temple not built with hands. There is only one temple in the universe that is not built with hands. Do you know where it is? Right there on the side of your head. That is the temple that is under construction. And I wanted to show it to you. Okay? Go to page 296. Look at 1 Kings chapter 6. And we're going to look at the construction of the temple. Remember, once again, you're looking at mythology. You're looking at a purpose for this. There has to be a purpose why what you're going to read happened. 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 7. And the house, which is the temple, when it was in building, when it was being constructed, was built of stone, not brick, because it's natural, made ready before it was brought there, so that there was neither hammer, nor axe, nor any tool of iron heard in the house when it was being built. The temple is built in silence. And now, if you're going to cause that wall that separates you from the holy city within you, the right hemisphere, to fall, you've got to do what Aaron said. Be still, be quiet. That means you don't need to discuss it. You don't need to pray about it. You don't need to Listen, read, just be still and wait. Just wait. Now go back to 192 and look at our little drama here with Joshua. In Joshua 6, verse 16, and it came to pass at the 7th time. Our energy has risen up the 6 chakras and is ready to impact the pineal gland, the 7th. Folks, the sun has traveled through the 6 constellations and is ready to impact the 7th, Aquarius. Exactly what is being talked about in mythology happens inside of you, and will also at the same time happen to the universe. In other words, watch. We'll get ahead of it. And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priest blew the trumpet, you have raised, the energy has risen inside of you up the 6 chakras. It has touched the 7th, and it is time now. Joshua said unto the people, shout, for the Lord has given you the city, and coming from the deepest recesses of your spirit will be Om. And when you Om, as that energy has impacted the pineal gland of the brain, the wall that separates you from the right side will fall. And the city, the holy city, will be yours. And when that great sun impacts the 7th constellation of Aquarius as it is now, the wall that has kept us from peace and unity and freedom and harmony with nature and with the dolphins and the whale will fall, and we will be open to the things of the mighty winds of the east from the right side. The energy from the right side. When the people heard the sound of the trumpet, look at verse 20 in Genesis, Jacob, whatever you're, Joshua. When the people shouted, and it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat. So the people went into the city, and they took the city. What had to happen before you can take that city? You have to go around 6 times. You have to energize the 6th chakra. And then when you get to that 7th, the shout or the movement will come from the ram's horn. That Aries, the ram, the pineal gland of the brain will start to move and tremble within you. And then there will be the movement of Om within you. And at that point, the wall collapses and the city opens up. The right hemisphere of the brain will open up to you. It says in verse 21, they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both men and women, young and old. If that was true, then we should throw this book, because this book is filled with God telling people to go in and kill the women, kill the men, kill the children. I mean, this says that they went in and killed everybody, children and everybody, God's chosen people. Look, the men are the thoughts of the mind, the women are the distresses of the emotions. The children are the desires of the mind and the desires of the emotions. They are overcome. The animal instincts are overcome. All that has impacted in our lives that causes us to rape one another, that causes us to drop bombs on one another, that causes us to sell drugs to one another, that causes us to loot and pillage, that causes us to talk about one another, that causes us to be separated from one another. All of that stuff which has brutalized the earth, which has brutalized the environment, which has brutalized the population and the animals, all of that stuff is pillaged and killed and destroyed. And the city is made pure. There was one person that was saved in this book out of the city. In verse 23, Rahab, her name was the harlot, the prostitute who spied for Aaron. The lower spirit, the lower emotions that kept God's message safe. In other words, let me tell you something. You may not have reached that city. You may not have opened up that city, but there is within you that Rahab. There is within you that lower part, that lower emotional part that will still stand up in spite of the fact that you're not sure, in spite of the fact that you get disappointed, and will hold that secret to you and will not let it be trampled upon by anyone else, that will keep it for you. And that part of you also will be saved. That emotional part within you will be saved. That was what Rahab did. She stood inside of the city and she gave a report. In other words, she was true to that which was those who were going to take the city and open it up for God. And there was a part of you that will have to say, I will or I won't. There is a part of you that will keep this pure. There is a part of you that will not do this for profit. There is a part of you that will not allow this to be spoiled or dirtied by anything on the outside. Or there is a part of you that will sell out. This woman chose to keep it pure, even though she didn't know, even though she really wasn't a part of it yet, even though she had no idea what was going on. She said, okay, that's what you got to do. Keep it safe. So that when this beautiful thing occurs, all within inside of you will be saved. They burned the city with fire, it says in verse 24, which means that that which was the kundalini, that spirit, comes down from the higher part and destroys all of that which was made you hurt in the past. And with this, the silver and gold, which are the emotions and that which is God, were brought into the city, and the city was open. The city is open. We talked about this morning. What we talked about this morning was the confrontation between you and your mind. And we said, and we all came to the conclusion, this isn't a religious thing. This is a grown-up thing. This is a thing that are you really interested in connecting yourself to the harmony of nature? Then it's a challenge. It's a job. It requires your discipline. It requires working at it. But it requires you one thing, not straying off to every cockeyed type of thing, whether it be New Age or fundamentalism that comes down the road to steer you away from the one path, and that is the one God that exists, that dwells inside of you. It is nobody else's business how you do it. It is no anybody else's business where you do it or when you do it. But it is your business to take attention to the fact that the Scriptures have said within you there is a holy city and there is a wall keeping you out from that city. And that if you will follow those 6 measures and then hit that 7th measure as said through your meditation, the wall will come tumbling down and that city will be yours. And nobody else can help you do it. Nobody else can show you how to do it. It is between you and God. God has designed it, God has written the script, and God has said, I will do it in the universe. And the sun is doing it in Aquarius right now as you're sitting here. And he says, what I do in the universe, you do in yourself. And so allow the solar plexus, the place of the sun, to rise and to impact Aries the ram, which is the pineal gland of the brain, and let it throw open the right side, and let the Om resonate from deep within you to come out of your lips, and let that beautiful thing occur, the wall to come down, the right side open, and then you'll start thinking with the mind of Christ. Because you'll start energizing brain cells which are hitherto dormant, which will come alive. And then you will be able to reach out to the children who are starving in all of these horrible places. And you'll be able to reach out to the animals which are brutalized. You'll be able to reach out with all people who have been oppressed and put down. You'll be able to reach out to the poor because you'll have that power that comes from the holy city. And you'll have all of that which is in the holy city, all of the gold and all of that which is representative of the things of God which you can give to people. This is not to make a big shot out of you. This is not to make a preacher out of you. This is not to make a pastor out of you. This is made to make a divine human being out of you who will then walk in this new age of light with Christ. But you've got to do it this one way. There's no other way. And remember, it's not a hard job. All it requires you to do is sit, be still, and wait. And when the time comes to shout, you'll know it. Then shout. Thank you